Dear students, in this module, we will discuss about the role of capital accumulation in a labor supply economy. The topic is, though it is purely economics, all attempts will be made to make it easy for students of demography. Capital accumulation is the major aim of all private sector industries. Private sector is dominating in the industrial growth and development in many countries. At the same time, many countries have been experiencing demographic transition and changing age profiles. Changing age profile is affecting the labor supply. These issues have been discussed here in this module. Let's begin with capital accumulation. Capital accumulation refers to profits that a company uses to increase its capital base. It involves the acquiring more assets that can be used to create more wealth or those which will appreciate in value. Capital accumulation is the dynamic motivation in pursuit of profits. It involves investment of money or any financial asset with the goal of increasing the initial monetary value of said assets as a financial return, whether in the form of profit, rent, interest, royalty, or capital gain. Labor supply. In conventional economic theory, labor supply is the total number of hours, that is after adjustment for intensity of effort, that workers wish to work at a given real wage rate. The theory of individual labor supply assumes that individual choose between work and leisure. Work is time spent on paying job and leisure includes activities where one is not paid, like education, rest, work within household, and so on. More hours worked will earn higher incomes, but they also necessitate a cut in the amount of leisure that workers generally enjoy. This is called labor-leisure trade-off. Consequently, there are two effects on the amount of labor supply that is dependent on change in the real wage rate. The other aspect is to discuss about substitution effect. For example, the real wage rate increases, then opportunity cost of leisure time also increases. Or, as the real wage rate increases, more number of laborers ready to work at the cost of reducing their leisure time. This tends to make workers supply more labor. This is called substitution effect. The other aspect is about income effect. However, as the real wage rate rises, workers earn a higher income for a given number of hours. If leisure is a normal good, any goods for which demand increases, the demand for it increases as income also increases. This increase in income tends to make workers supply less labor so they can spend the higher income on leisure. This is called as the income effect. Now let's discuss about the combined effect of substitution and income. The labor supply increases when the substitution effect is stronger than the income effect. On the contrary, labor supply decreases when income effect is stronger than the substitution effect beyond certain wage rate. Individual labor supply curves can be aggregated to derive the total labor supply of an economy. What are the factors influencing production? As we all know that some of the important factors for production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Anything that is land, labor, material, energy, etc., which are used in the production of a commodity are generally called as its inputs. For example, for producing wheat, a farmer uses inputs like soil, tractor, tools, seeds, manure, water, and his own or her own labor. Inputs are also classified into two groups, that is, primary inputs and secondary inputs. Primary inputs render only services, while secondary inputs go into the commodity for which they are used. In the above example, soil, tractor, tools and farmer services are primary inputs because they only provided the necessary services. Inputs like seeds, manure, water and insecticides are secondary inputs because they go into the commodity for which they are used. Primary inputs are called factors of production. Primary inputs are also called factor inputs and secondary inputs are known as non-factor inputs. Alternatively, it can be said that production is done with the help of resources which are categorized into natural resources, that is land, human resources, that is labor and entrepreneur, and manufactured resources, that is capital. Land can be categorized, especially those resources like land, soil, forests, rivers, mines, air, etc., which are free gifts of nature. Labor may be mental or physical. It is like work done for income. Third component is the capital. Capital is man-made means of production, including machinery, buildings, etc. And the last one, entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is a risk taker, organizer, who brings together all the other factors of production. What is the relationship between labor and capital? According to Abraham Lincoln, labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is superior to capital and deserves much higher consideration. As mentioned by President Abraham Lincoln, an annual message to Congress in December 3rd, 1861 in the State of the Union. Capital, labor and land produce the output in the form of services or good. Capital, labor and land, when combined with technology, produce better goods faster. The capital and production and the labor and production are positively correlated, while capital and labor are also positively correlated. However, long-term growth resides in the improvement of technology. In this case, the definition of technology is very broad, meaning anything that helps combine capital and labor into output. That includes factors like the political system, cultural cohesiveness, geographical advantages, etc. Let's discuss about how changing age profile have linkages with labor supply. The most important issue here is the impact of changing age profile on the supply of labor due to demographic transition. Many studies have shown that the average age will be low in a situation where the birth rate is high and the death rate is declining. Russia, for instance, was experiencing significant decline in availability of labor since the 1980s. It is estimated that the population between the ages of 20 and 60 years will grow by 6.7 million persons during the current decade as compared with 22.3 million in the 1970s. This trend will be felt even more keenly in the 1990s. The number of persons between the ages of 20 and 60 years in Russia will be only 5.7 million more than in the preceding 10 years. Under these conditions, the importance of increased labor productivity naturally becomes even more significant. Under the 11th 5-year plan, this increase must account for 90% of the increase in national income and industrial output and for the total increase in output in agriculture, and in construction and installation worker. What is the changing relationship between labor and capital? Although capital and labor are complementary to each other, the relationship seems to be changing with advancement of technology and demographic transition. The relationship has the subject of debate among economists for decades. Technological advancements have always created disruptions within the labor market as the means of production changes. I quote, William Lee invented the stocking frame knitting machine in 1589, hoping that it would relieve workers of hand knitting. The Queen was more concerned with the employment impact of his invention and refused to grant him a patent, claiming that it would deprive her subjects of employment, thus making them beggars. Centuries later, during the Industrial Revolution, many artisans lost their jobs, but factory workers were hired in droves to operate or assist the machines. A laborer on the assembly line placing tires on an automobile is an example of a technological advancement that complements unskilled labor. Humans have been able to adopt and quickly learn skills that are required to operate the latest technology. It can be argued that technology reaches a point where it no longer creates employment opportunity within an economy. For example, total employment in the United States manufacturing sector was peaked in 1979 at about 19.4 million. Today, the total number of jobs in manufacturing in the country is just over 12 million. What was the reason for the manufacturing sector to lose nearly 40% of its employees in the past 3 decades? If we analyze, it can be shown that improvements in shipping allowed manufacturers to find cheaper labor abroad, while workers in the United States have expected higher wages and better benefits. Employees in developing countries were willing to work for a fraction of what the United States manufacturing workforce expected for their labor. Firms saw an opportunity to reduce their expenses by moving their production to an area where labor is cheaper. Since autonomous machines are becoming cheaper each year and labor is increasing in cost, firms are making plans and have started to substitute their workforce with robots. According to the International Federation of Robotics, the number of industrialized robots is going to increase from around 1.4 million in 2014 to nearly 2 million in 2017. China is one of the countries projected to make the largest use of robotics technology to offset the rising cost of labor. It has been observed throughout economic history that technological advancements have helped to create more jobs, and it is believed that this trend will continue in future. There is also belief that robots will be a net complement to labor for the foreseeable future. This might be a wrong assumption also, because the machines of the past could only complete monotonous tasks and often needed human guidance. However, technological progress in the 21st century can be expected to do a wide range of tasks which are being largely done by humans. While automation will most likely result in net job losses, new career opportunities will be presented for those with special skills. But employment will be available only for those who are possessed specific skills such as right algorithms, fixing, and the advanced skills. On the positive note, through training or education, humans have always been able to adapt and develop skills that are in need and in demand. With the increase in technological advancements, demand for highly technical skills will grow. But it's difficult to estimate the volume of employment and specific skills which are needed in the future, because in which industry automation will have the biggest impact is to be addressed. As mentioned already, automated vehicles and industrial robots used in manufacturing are declining in cost. While human labor is becoming more expensive, thus creating the potential to displace millions of workers in the coming decades. This is likely to be widespread and may affect many sectors of industry and business. How we will explain in a few possibilities. For instance, number 1, call centers. A company, Smart Action, now provides call computerization solutions that use machine learning technology and advanced speech recognition to improve upon conventional interactive voice response systems, realizing cost savings of about 60 to 80% over an outsourced call centers which are operating with human labor. The other examples could be retail or food services. The self-checkout line, which has already begun replacing cashiers, but online retail, which made up only 8% of sales in year 2013, which is estimated to grow to 11% in the year 2018. Amazon is currently working with the FAA to use drones for their deliveries. The third example could be about restaurants. According to Business Insider, using tablets or cell phones to generate orders could replace most of the wait staff. Although it may be an inconvenience, typing an order into the tablet, you won't have to worry about the waiter or waitress placing the wrong order. The fourth example is in the field of education. The recent growth in MOOCs, that is, massive open online courses, which has begun to generate large data sets detailing how students interact on forums, their diligence in completing assignments and viewing lectures, and their ultimate grades. Such information, together with improved user interfaces, will allow for machine learning algorithms that serve as interactive tutors with the teaching and assessment strategies which are statistically calibrated to match individual student needs. The fifth example could be in the area of healthcare. It's not only routine tasks such as delivering medicines to patients who are at risk. IBM's Watson has an automated program at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center that looks through case files at a rate of 60 million pages of text per second. It's learning to make diagnosis. According to Robotics Virtual Organization, robots with a greater range of motion will soon perform many types of operations with absolute precision. The sixth example could be in the area of accounting and finance. For instance, software programs such as TurboTax, and robo-advisors are threatening the professional service sector. By the client inputting information into a program, an algorithm generates the solution. We are already beginning to see a shift in the labor market towards a need for employees to have a greater competence in the application and use of computers. According to Burning Glass Technologies, nearly 8 in 10 middle skill jobs now require digital skills. Workers who have minimum digital skills get paid 13% more than those who have none. The basic skills required by employees today are not just processing programs such as Microsoft Excel and Word, but more sophisticated software programs like SAP, System Application and Products, and Oracle, which are growing in importance rather fast in the present world. A decade from now, what will be the minimum skill requirements for employment? As computing power continues to grow, the potential impact of machine learning and robotics is both exciting and frightening. The cost of goods and services should drop for the consumer as production expenses become cheaper. One optimistic view, which advances in productivity, should allow humans to pursue their interests and dreams. However, occupations that many thought could never be replaced by a machine now seems vulnerable. As the relationship between capital and labor changes, the economy enters uncharted territory where economic theory thought to be a fact will soon be questioned. In summary, when we conclude that in this module, it is very clear that how the role of capital accumulation in a labor surplus economy is very vital for the assessment of the changes in the population structure and how it has to be adjusted for the industrialization and subsequent the production aspects of the population and also the various issues that are related to the economy. In this, it is very important that we have to understand that the capital accumulation, which refers to profits that a company uses to increase its capital base, it also the acquiring more assets that can be used. In that form, capital accumulation is the dynamic motivation in pursuit of profits. And in this regard, labor supply plays an important role, which has an important contribution from the population. As the labor supply assumes as an important component in the production, it is very important to see how the balance will comes, and in this process the technological advancement and the way in which the innovations takes place also makes a lot of difference in understanding the balance that exists in making the production more competent, and at the same time it will also be acceptable for absorbing the given population. However, we need to see that given the changes in the relation between the production, however, technological progress in the 21st century, which can be expected to do a wide range of tasks which are being largely done by humans, can be expected in a different new sectors which are coming up in a big way. There are some few possibilities which we can cite. For instance, in the area of call centers, where a company which uses machine learning technology and advanced speech recognition to improve upon conventional interactive voice response systems, and it can be outsourced so that it can be in the place of human labor, it can also take through this innovation. The second aspect is in the area of retail and food services, where the self-checkout lines, which has already begun replacing cashiers and other manpower. Similarly, in the area of restaurants, for example, using tablets or cell phones, we can generate orders that could replace most of the wait staff. Although it may be an inconvenience typing an order into the tablet, you need not worry about the waiter or waitress placing the wrong order. Similarly, through MOOCs, the education sector is growing to generate large data sets which details out how students interact on forums, their diligence in completing assignments and viewing lectures, and their ultimate grades can be seen. Similarly, in the area of healthcare, there are several innovations, especially in the latest diseases that are coming up in the area of cancer, HIV, and several other things, how robotics, virtual organizations are playing an important role in this innovation. Similarly, in the area of accounting and finance, through software programs such as TurboTax and robo-advisors, which are threatening the professional service sector. So, there are many examples through which it can be seen that the demand for workers who have minimum digital skills will get more than what those who are not having any of these skills. The basic skills required by employees today are not just processing programs, but also more sophisticated software programs, which will be the demand over a period of time, which we may increase also in the years to come. A decade from now on, what will be the minimum skill requirements for employment? As computing power continues to grow, the potential impact of machine learning and robotics is becoming both exciting and also frightening. The cost of goods and services, which will definitely drop for the consumer as production expenses become cheaper. So, at conclusion, we can say that an optimistic view is that as advances in productivity should allow humans to pursue their interests and dreams, however, occupations that many thought could never be replaced by a machine now seem to be vulnerable. At the same, we also can conclude that as relation between capital and labor changes, the economy enters uncharted territory where economic theory thought to be the fact will soon be questioned.